Yo, Nick, what's up? Yo, JJGEE is in bitch. Shut up the stream. What did you realize about animated Optimus Prime? He has yellow on him. Why is that something you realize? Hey, CoolDell_97. Gang. No, it's a version of Prime had yellow on him. Are you sure no other version of Optimus Prime had yellow on him? You got this elbow. What? Well, to my knowledge, at least. Yo, Google, I'm gonna throw hands for deleting my comment. Yo, I swear to God. I swear to fucking God. Google is annoying as shit. I'm not gonna lie. Not counting Optimal Optimus. It's understandable. If there's one Transformer I feel like needs to be appreciated for its lug. Yes. Yes. Lugnut from Transformers Animated. Probably one of the most standout characters to come out of Transformers Animated is the Decepticon Lugnut. Plus, I owned his toy multiple times. Hell, if I had the toy now, I wouldn't need the instructions. You have a point there. They really didn't do justice with his doppelganger Clobber. Well, Clobber is kind of like a separate character from Lugnut, despite the similarities they have. I was kind of, I was kind of pissed when I saw her in the trailer. I was so excited for it to have been Lug Nut, but nope. That's I felt this. I felt the same way. I just realized there are not many Autobots that turn into construction vehicles. Well, I mean, I guess. But what Autobot is a Constructicon? I mean, granted, there are some Autobots that do become Constructicons, and then there are some Constructicons that become Autobots. So, the only ones I recall are Grimlock from 2001's Robots in Disguise, and Trench from The Last Night, and also Canopy, and that's pretty much it. Well, there's also Hauler from G1, who is a former Constructicon turned Autobot, so there's one you forgot. Does Grapple count? Well, Grapple is a crane, and a crane is a type of construction vehicle, so I guess Grapple kind of counts. There's also Long Arm from Transformers Armada as well, so What about animated Shockwave? Animated Shockwave, not so much. The Now I am not counting his disguise as long arm because, well, his tank alternate mode. Well, animated Shockwave's alternate mode in his long arm disguise is basically just his tank mode with a crane hook on it. It doesn't really count. To be honest, Prime and animated are tied for the best shows. You have a point there. I hit that like and I subbed. Let's go. Let's go. Come on. You know what? Anyone who subs to me, I will sub back to you. I, I'm I'm being serious. Sub to me, I will sub right back to you. That is, if I get the notification on your YouTube channel and I know who you are, and shit like that. Speaking of animated, I realized there are some Autobots as fire engines. Well, that kind of makes sense because the Autobots are not supposed to be like the Decepticons, anyways. Because the Decepticons are essentially warriors, and the Autobots are more like civilians, if anything. Like G1 Inferno, Heatwave, 2000 Robots in Disguise, and animated Optimus Prime. Well, Inferno and Heatwave do make sense considering their design, their personality and character, and of course the alternate mode. And Dark of the Moon Sentinel Prime. How come no other Transformers media gives Megatron a truck mode? You bring up an interesting question. I wonder why Megatron has never gotten a truck mode outside of Transformers Dark of the Moon. I mean, granted, why would Megatron be a truck in the first place? I mean, most of his alternate modes are either jets or tanks. And that's pretty much it. I honestly love that idea. I mean, I guess. And the helicopter. Well, I think the first Megatron to be a helicopter was animated Megatron. I'm excited to see Megatron in Bumblebee 2. Depending. See, now, I'm cautiously optimistic about Megatron being in Bumblebee 2 because we haven't seen or heard anything as of yet by the time, right now. Because I wonder what the treads on his tank are going to end up. They're probably gonna end up on his legs, if anything. Because based on what I've seen with the Bumblebee movie Megatron concept art and design, he doesn't seem to have any sort of vehicle parts on him. I'm kind of sad Barricade wasn't in the Bumblebee movie. Well, I kind of. To me, it didn't really matter if Barricade was going to show up in the Bumblebee movie or not, to be honest. They really, yes, they the Bumblebee movie really did Blitzwing dirty. They really did Blitzwing dirty. Like, why did Travis Knight have to ruin one of the one of the many good things that came out of G1? One of the many good things that came out of G1 were the triple changers. Blitzwing is is the most Blitzwing is probably the most infamous example because, well, I mean, granted, Blitzwing did often fly with the Seekers in some episodes of Season 2 in the G1 cartoon, but he wasn't really a Seeker. So making Blitzwing an actual Seeker in the movie, I mean, granted, they really... Why did Travis Knight have to ruin Blitzwing? I mean, they got everyone else right. They got all the Autobots who made a cameo appearance in the Bumblebee movie right. Blitzwing is the one thing that was they messed up, and that was probably because we all thought it was Starscream. Granted, everyone thought it was Starscream. When Travis eventually, why not Acid Storm? Yes, fucking yes. Ramjet would have been better. I agree. Ramjet would have been way better. I mean, slap on the Conehead look, and we would have had Ramjet in the Bumblebee movie universe right then and there. But they had to name slap him Blitzwing. I mean, if the designers and Travis had give him the Conehead shape and slap on the Ramjet name, it would have been good. Because out of all the characters Bumblebee could have killed at the opening of his movie, because let's face it, those two aren't really that memorable. Well, Ramjet is only memorable because he's one of the Coneheads. Acid Storm is only memorable because Acid Storm is one of the Rainmakers. Granted, the Coneheads and the Rainmakers aren't really memorable. I'm just sitting here like I really don't have anything to add, so I'm just taking notes and learn. I mean, granted, Dark Elf, you do not know how much knowledge Nick and I are talking about and discussing, because we know quite a lot. We know quite a lot of shit. I mean, I agree. Now, let's think about it. Bumblebee movie Blitzwing has the colors of Ramjet: red, white, black. I think Ramjet had a bit of brown, if I'm not mistaken. I'm enjoying it, by the way. That's good. That's good. Enjoy it. Now, like I said, Bumblebee movie Blitzwing really should have been anyone else. Ramjet, even, he had the colors. Bumblebee movie Blitzwing had the colors of G1 Ramjet. Well, G1 and animated Ramjet, since, well, most incarnations of Ramjet are different from those two, although they're mostly Seekers anyways. But I agree, it should have been someone like Ramjet. Now, Ramjet is actually one of my favorite Decepticon Coneheads. Out of Dirge, Thrust, and Ramjet, Ramjet is probably my favorite, although my second favorite. Thrust is probably my most favorite, and Dirge is probably my least favorite, with Ramjet being in the middle. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if these are the vehicle modes for Bumblebee 2. I'm gonna check out that link later. The link you sent me in the chat, I will check it out later. Also, I'm gonna make some of you guys some mods, if you don't mind. So, how do I do that? Hold on a sec. I'm kind of looking forward for the NPM Bumblebee movie Optimus Prime. Hope you're all having a great day slash great night. It's 8:12 p.m. It's 8:12 p.m. for me too. So yeah. Colin. Well, Masterpiece isn't something I'm really interested in. I mean, I understand that you are looking forward to the NPM Bumblebee movie Prime. And speaking of Prime, why don't I just bring out my own Prime? Earthrise Optimus Prime. Why don't I just bring him out? Because why the fuck not? For my OC character, Starscream's helmet is how the three-pronged thing on his head would look. Okay, I'll check it out. Oh, like I said, I will check out the links. You guys have no idea how much I love the Earthrise Optimus Prime, by the way. So, in case you've missed my review on the Earthrise Optimus Prime or any of my other Studio Series and War for Cybertron trilogy reviews, I will probably leave a link in the description. Well, not the description, the chat below, so you can check out whatever reviews you may have missed. Although I'm pretty sure everyone missed those reviews. Also, I'm thinking of changing the three-prong thing so it's easy to see. Go ahead. I'm kind of surprised the Seekers weren't in Prime. Granted, we did have clones of Starscream. One did that hilarious dance, and that's it, really. Show love for the Seekers. Yes, show love for all the Seekers. Speaking of which, let me just pull out my Earthrise Starscream, which is probably my favorite. This is probably one of my favorite Earthrise figures next to the Earthrise Optimus Prime. So you know I had to pull this out and flex on y'all. And I kind of want the rest of the Seekers from both Siege and Earthrise. Like, I don't have any form of G1 Seekers aside from, well, Starscream here. I'm curious who's gonna voice Starscream in the Travis Knight universe. Interesting question. I wonder who could could do a good Starscream. I heard this third-party Bumblebee movie Blitzwing, and let's say, holy shit, it looks 100% accurate. That's because it's a third party. It's not created from Hasbro. Anything not created from Hasbro is gonna be wholly expensive. Anything third party or KOs is not in my department. Who knows? Maybe Steve Blum will voice Starscream in the Bumblebee movie since he voiced Wheeljack in the Bumblebee movie. Well, let's keep Steve Blum as Starscream and Prime Robots in Disguise because they're probably going to get someone new for Starscream in Bumblebee 2 anyways. And G1 is known for having the same voice actor for multiple characters. I mean, true, and G1 isn't the only continuity to have one voice actor to voice multiple characters. We got the Beast era where a couple of voice actors voiced a few characters, and this continued for every single Transformers series moving on. Prime, animated, the Unicron trilogy, every single Transformers show, movie, game, some voice actor's gonna voice more than one character. I kind of wouldn't be surprised. Well, you kind of wouldn't if he did, but don't be surprised if you get a new voice actor for Starscream. I'm kind of curious as what Soundwave and Shockwave are going to change between the Bumblebee movie universe. We haven't seen them transform yet, so Hasbro is probably going to take some creative licensing and give them new alternate modes, and preferably useful alternate modes. Granted, their G1 forms aren't very useful, with Soundwave being a tape deck and Shockwave turning into a laser cannon. So they'll probably have some sort of either Cybertronian ultimate mode that is either a ground vehicle or an aircraft. There's Vision and said what they changed him to. Ayo, SCTV. I think that's my boy Sean casing this bitch. Yes, Sirski. Guess what? Also, I'm kind of sad Rescue Bots Academy is over. Why are you sad? Why are you sad? I didn't even watch Rescue Bots Academy. Granted, I probably wasn't gonna watch it anyway. I mean, I might check it out, I might, but I'm probably not gonna care for it as much. Excuse me. I need to get a personal laptop or PC or something, not a Chromebook. That's understandable. My man's needs a PC or some shit. Granted, what I'm using right now is a Chromebook, and I'm basically borrowing it. If there's so much potential, like the Dinobots will by most probable appearances by other Decepticons. What happens next? I want to know. Well, it's about time we kill. Not to be that guy, but I think it's time that we killed the aligned continuity. The aligned continuity has been going since 2010, a decade later, and now we're in 2021. We are in 2021 right now, and the aligned continuity is finally over. It took Hasbro decade, a whole decade, for them to cut to cut the cord for the line of continuity. This needs to run on 60 FPS consistently on everything. That's funny as shit. Hey, Rescue Bots was decent. I mean, yeah, it was. It was. I liked it as a kid, but I don't really like it now as much. And that's probably because of age, to be honest. When you grow up, age does something to you. Oh, lag spikes plus an Ethernet cable. The I mean, we had decent voice actors like Steve Blum, Peter Cullen, Roger Craig Smith, and the guy who voices the Brain from Pinky and the Brain. I wonder who that is. Robots in Disguise 2015 was good. It was okay, it was decent, but some people kind of hated it because, I mean, it's a good sequel to Prime, and normal running in place in Minecraft, I shot eliminate lag. Yo, someone get my boy in the chat. Someone get my boy in the chat. Robots in Skies 1. Yeah, I did like 2015's Robots in Skies. I mean, as a sequel to Transformers Prime. But I feel like Transformers Prime didn't really need a sequel, so why was Robots in Skies 2015 needed? We didn't really need or want or ask for a sequel to Transformers Prime. We brought back the stunt cons. Not all of them. Robots in Skies did not bring back all the stunt cons. Because here's the thing. Breakdown was not a stunt con in Transformers Prime. And he was dead. Breakdown was dead partway through season 2 of Transformers Prime. And he wasn't even a stunt con in that continuity. I mean, he kind of was a stunt con in terms of where he was in the War for Cybertron game. But then in Prime, he wasn't really a stunt con. As for Dead End and Wild Rider, Dead End and Wild Rider weren't even present anywhere in the line continuity in terms of like an actual cartoon appearance. Actually, the first stunt con actually Bob was in Prime. I mean, yes, Breakdown is, for those who don't know, Breakdown is a G1 stunt con. But in Prime, he's not really a stunt con. They brought his name back, but didn't make him a stunt con because the whole team wasn't there. Maybe they lost. Here's the thing: they did not lose the trademark names of Dead End or Wild Rider. They were in the Transformers Prime toy line as redecos and retools of Prime Wheeljack, but neither of them appeared in the show. At least Dragstrip and Motormaster from the original G1 team appeared in Robots in Skies, so there's that. At least two of the members, at least two of the original G1 stunt cons were in 2015's Robots in Skies. So rest in peace. So first off, rest in peace Breakdown. RIP to Dead End and Wild Rider because, well, they're not dead. They just didn't appear. Now Dead End does have an appearance in War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron as a sort of multiplayer character, but then that's pretty much it. And I actually thought that Motormaster design from War 2015. I'm not gonna argue. I mean, if you like Motormaster's design in Robots in the Skies, that's good. Me personally, now, for those who don't know, I did grow up with G1. G1 is still one of my favorite Transformers series. And G1 Motormaster, he's any Transformers character who came from G1 and is the original is gonna be among my favorite characters. So G1 Motormaster is definitely my favorite, especially considering he's the original leader of the original Suncons. Yo, Shmar, I found a YouTube trend where people ask you to make an E in community post. Some people only make actual reasons. That's effing stupid. Yo, Sean, let me tell Sean, SCTV. Let me tell you this. That's fucking yo. I've seen that bullshit many times on my recommended page. I've seen that many times on my recommended page on YouTube, and that shit's fucking annoying. Yo, that shit. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. That's some dumb shit. That's retarded shit. My favorite Robots in the Skies design, Megatronus. I agree. Every poll is literally an E. I swear to God, man. My man Sean said every poll is literally an E. ISTG. Yo, I agree. I fucking agree. Every poll is. I swear to God, man. That's some stupid shit. That right there. All those posts, I'm gonna avoid making polls. I mean, go ahead. Avoid making polls, especially with channels with that stupid shit. How come no other media gave Megatronus a retractable face mask? Why would Megatronus need a retractable face mask? His well, he did have a face mask in his first appearance, which was in the Dreamwave comics. In Revenge of the Fallen had an actual mouth, so why would he need a mouth plate? His original Dreamwave design for G1 had a mouth plate, but yeah, there's that. And Megatronus's / the Fallen's appearance in Prime Wars trilogy. He wasn't given a mouth plate, but then again, I don't see Prime Wars trilogy Megatronus having a mouth plate. How long have I been? I've been going for an hour. Let's see if I can go for more than an hour. See who else comes into this bitch. And I'm like, dead ass. I have the Studio Series Barricade, even though it's like 16 steps. Kind of tricky to transform. That's not how many steps Barricade transforms into. Barricade transforms into 20 steps, believe it or not. Okay, robot to vehicle mode, it's tricky. Barricade transformation from vehicle mode to robot mode, it's smooth and clean, but vehicle robot, I do not like. It's mostly the leg car. Well, yeah, true. Speaking of Studio Series Barricade, here he is. Now, as you can see, I wasn't trying to customize him by removing the back, because to me, it looked like a ball joint like his arms. So, it's mostly the leg parts. I'm having trouble typing. Funny shit. Yeah, Studio Series Barricade. He's probably my least favorite Studio Series Deluxe. He is one of the first Studio Series figures I got from a friend during Christmas of 2019. The backpack looks clean, yes, but I did break the part where the hood of his vehicle mode connects to this. So while I kind of have a broken Studio Series Barricade, but he does have a much cleaner back, although he did have a cleaner back before. One problem with, an issue I have that I'm kind of responsible for is that I popped off the ball joints on Barricade's arms, and now they're loose as hell. I don't know if I want to get the Studio Series 86 figs because they look kind of easier to transform. I kind of want to get the Studio Series 86 figures because even though I'm collecting the live action Studio Series figures, I'm also trying to get some of the G1 figures from the War for Cybertron trilogy. Actually, as a matter of fact, I only have a few War for Cybertron figures in my collection. I've been trying to collect the War for Cybertron trilogy along with Studio Series because the only Siege figure I have in my collection is Hound. Hound remain Siege figures that he's transformed. You're kind of right. you're kind of right about that because Hound here, who happens to be the only Siege figure I have, he transforms in 14 steps. 14 steps for deluxe, and it's not bad. And it makes sense considering his Jeep alternate mode. I mean, until I get another Siege figure, Hound remains my favorite. I need to find a computer hacking expert to help shut down TikTok. I'm, I'm weak. I'm weak. Yo, someone get my boy Sean in the chat because he's trying to shut down TikTok, and I agree with him. In fact, MP10 Optimus transformation looks somewhat to figure out. That's funny. That's actually funny because he's probably not. No masterpiece figure is easy to transform, and I don't even have any masterpiece figures, so I wouldn't even know. But what I do know is that there's a reason why they are called masterpiece. All right. Yeah. Also, Siege Hound remains my only Siege figure in the Warp Cybertron trilogy thus far. Now, I do have more figures from Earthrise because is Earthrise is still out at the time, with some figures from that line shelf warming. Kingdom, by the way, Kingdom being the final chapter in the Warp Cybertron trilogy, is out right now. And I really want to get some of the Beast Wars figures, by the way. I mean, granted, I also want to get some G1 because I'm still trying to beef up my G1 collection because I have some old figures from the movies that I want to give away or sell. God damn it. Excuse me for a second. I mean, first MPG won't be looks will transform as well. I mean, I guess, but probably not. TikTok is why I cringe when I hear public radio. that's funny as shit. That's funny as shit. TikTok is why I cringe when I hear public radio. I actually agree with that. I actually agree with that fact. 2.0 MPG1 won't be equal shit. Y'all are making me y'all are making me cry right now. Y'all are fucking funny as shit. Anyways, so the only Earthrise figures I have from the Wolf Cybertron trilogy are Earthrise Optimus Prime, who I just transformed. I love this figure so much because I never had any Optimus Prime figure before. I just love the Earthrise Optimus Prime. And apparently, which is a good thing in case you missed out, Earthrise Optimus Prime is being repacked into the Kingdom line. He is currently in the first wave of Kingdom. Earthrise Starscream. I do not have any of the other Earthrise or Siege Seekers, so yeah. This is probably my favorite Starscream figure because the Starscream figures I had before were either big or legend sized. So this is one of the holy grails for my collection because it's the Earthrise Seeker mold. I may be thinking of getting the G1 Optimus Prime toy online on Amazon. I mean, if you want to, go ahead. Now, Initially, I was not into getting some obscure characters, but I was already blown away with some of the studio series and War for Cybertron figs I had prior, so I had to hop on to some characters I did not have before, along with characters that have not received a toy since either their original toy or their second modern toy. One example is Earthrise Snapdragon, who I have in his jet mode. Earthrise Snapdragon is probably my favorite. Now, I do not have his partner, which is Ape Face. I'm glad YouTube's public opinion is screw TikTok. That's funny as shit. That's funny as shit, and I actually agree with you. YouTube's public opinion is screw. Yes. Yes. As I was saying, Earthrise Snapdragon is probably one of my favorite Earthrise figures next to Optimus Prime and Starscream. And that's probably because he's one of the Horrorcons. Aside from Snapdragon, the other Horrorcon would be Ape Face. Now, Ape Face was released in Siege, and unfortunately, I sadly missed out on the entirety of Siege. I saw a lot of Siege figures. I was only currently interested in Studio Series at the time. I did have the animated Cybertron and Megatron, but god, that cannon got in the way. It's funny as shit. That number ain't high enough. 80% of people say no to TikTok. 80%? How is 80% not high enough? What, you want 85? You want 90%? You want 95%? 95? Actually, you know what? Actually, let's make that 80% to 95%. Because screw the other 5%. Like, fuck them. Now, granted, some figures have some problems. Now, my issue with Earthrise Snapdragon is that he has limited elbow articulation. But that doesn't mean he's not a good figure, because he is. I want that. Yes. Now, his Beast mode suffers from what his Robot mode and Jet mode are, and that's due to the limitations of him being a triple changer. See, another thing I like about Earthrise Snapdragon, and if I get him Siege Ape Face, is that. See, now the thing about the Horrorcons is that they are triple changers. They are Decepticon headmasters who are triple changers. Their alt modes being a vehicle and a beast. In this case, Snapdragon's alt mode is that of a reptile, and Ape Face is that of an actual ape. So, yeah, it's that. That mechanism when you pull on the arms and his head rises up, it was god tier. You misspelled tier, but F it. That mechanism when you pull. You call that god tier? Let me show you something. Actually, let me show you something real quick before I show you something that I think is, well, not really god tier, but almost god tier. Now, I'm not really interested into the Micromasters, but I could not pass these. But I had enough money to get these two. This is the Decepticon Micromaster Racetrack Patrol, consisting of Roller Force and Groundhog. I think I might have got the name switched up. No joke. Animated figs have some amazing mechanisms. I agree. I actually have 3 Transformers animated figures. I have Transformers animated Swoop, Bulkhead, and Ultra Magnus. The Bulkhead is the Voyager class Bulkhead, not the Leader class Bulkhead. Swoop and Ultra Magnus are, Swoop is the Deluxe, and Ultra Magnus is the Leader class. So, yeah, there's that. One thing I never understood about the Micromasters is why they had to transform into weapons. But then again, that has to do with the whole combat system gimmick of the War for Cybertron trilogy line. I mean, characters who transform into weapons is a good thing, but when you're forcing Micromaster characters into weapons and the weapons look like car accidents, I don't understand why the Micromasters had to transform to weapons. Like the Voyage class Optimus Prime, you had to flip the switch and its leg spin to the position to snap his hip into the waist. I mean, granted, Transformers animated figures were kind of gimmicky, like every other Transformers figure beforehand. Allow me to show you one of my holy grails in my collection. Earthrise Double Dealer. I love this figure as much as I love Earthrise Optimus Prime, Earthrise Starscream, and Earthrise Snapdragon. Earthrise Double Dealer and the Lugnut figure when you brought the head and front plane snaps from his chest. Nice. Now, there are some issues with my copy of the Double Dealer figure because the cannon piece doesn't really stay secure on his hands, which is why I sometimes put them on his arms. No joke, my young mind lost its shit. I see what you mean. I see what you mean, and I see where you're coming from. Not gonna lie, I do wish I had the Generation Selects Soundwave Spy Patrol 3 third unit, because the Generation Selects Spy Patrol, Soundwave Spy Patrol 3rd unit has Double Dealer's old Power Master partners Knock and Scar that would fit into his chest here. So yeah, there's that as well. But I mean, this is probably the best Double Dealer figure we've got since well his original G1 figure. Well, Double Dealer himself has not been seen in any media since ever. He's not really in any other Transformers media outside of G1. His first new Transformers figure, for those who aren't aware, was a redeco / retool of the Generations Thrilling 30 Blitzwing, which I have, by the way. But Hasbro knew what they were doing when they created Earthrise Double Dealer. I think Animated Soundwave was the first version to come out of car mode. That's the thing. Animated Soundwave is Transformers Animated Soundwave is the first incarnation of Soundwave to have a car alternate mode. The second being his live-action appearance in Transformers Dark of the Moon. And some incarnations have even given him car alternate modes such as the War for Cybertron and Fall Cybertron video games, as well as Transformers Cyberverse, although he never transformed in Transformers Cyberverse. Sorry about that, folks. Double Dealer accidentally fell off my shelf. If you count the Dark Moon game, he had a Jeep mode. He did, though it wasn't really a Jeep, it was more of a Mercedes SUV, if anything. If you look really closely, Dark Moon Soundwave, Dark Moon the game Soundwave, had the alt mode of an SUV. To be honest, I kind of wish Dark Moon Soundwave actually kept that Mercedes SUV alt mode instead of the Mercedes-Benz SLS AMG. But we still got some good figures out of Soundwave's Dark Moon incarnation, being a Mercedes Benz and all. Man, that Soundwave must be obsessed with Mercedes. Funny you mentioned that, because now I know Nick has seen my review for Studio Series Dark Moon Soundwave, but I'm gonna bring him out anyways. This is probably one of my favorite Studio Series Deluxe class figures. Now, for those who aren't aware, Soundwave does not have any weapons. His only accessory is Laserbeak, and if anything, Laserbeak is a much suited accessory for Soundwave than his two sonic cannons that he used briefly in Dark Moon Battle. But I kind of changed that because I have the original Age of Extinction Voyager class Hound figure, and that Hound figure came with these two little pistols, which I have given to Soundwave. Now, as you can see on how he holds it, his pointer finger, his index finger, his index finger has now there's this little slot hole in two guns, and this has become my default weapon in terms of a blaster for Soundwave. I mean, that Soundwave looked awesome, and it brought back. Well, here's the one thing some Soundwaves have in common. Some Soundwaves have a common thing where they are all voiced by Frank Welker, who is a god. For those of you who do not know, Frank Welker is a god when it comes to voice acting, in terms of actual character voices, as well as noises and effects. So now this just gives Soundwave a much better look because he actually has a ranged weapon and he has Laserbeak. And I do love his 19-step transformation, by the way. So there's that. Now there is. Can a man borrow a fry? What? What? Hold on. Is that supposed to be a GTA reference, Sean? Can a man borrow a fry? The NPM Soundwave looks amazing. I guess. I mean, it's only a matter of time before they come out with. Wait a second. NPM. That's. I think the NPM Soundwave you're talking about is a third party. The NPM Soundwave you're describing is that third party Soundwave that comes with Laserbeak and Ravage, if I'm not mistaken. That might be the one you're talking about. Now I did manage to store those two pistols I took from my Voyager class Age of Extinction Hound figure and put them into the sides of Soundwave right here. I don't know if you can see that. I just put them under his armpits as like storage. I've been going for almost an hour and a half now. I'm surprised we never got an NPM The Fallen figure. Well, seeing as The Fallen never really performed in the Revenge of the Fallen movie, it would take a lot of engineering to make an NPM Fallen figure. But first, let's see what they do with a Studio Series figure of the Fallen, because we have not gotten that yet. There are rumors for other Studio Series figures, such as Evasion Mode Optimus Prime from Age of Extinction, Barricade from The Last Night, as well as Sideways from Revenge of the Fallen. There's also rumor of DevCon from Dark of the Moon. There's rumors for all. I gotta go now. My parents need me. Have a great day, guys. Alright, Sean. Catch you later. Is there anyone else in the chat that want to say something? I mean, are we gonna get an NPM Skids Mudflap? Well, we haven't gotten Studio Series Skids Mudflap. I mean, we might when they do the Revenge of the Fallen characters. Speaking of Revenge of the Fallen, I'd be surprised to see how Hasbro and Takara Tomy tackle Devastator and the Constructicons. Because, speaking of the Constructicons, here I have Studio Series Voyager Mixmaster and Studio Series Leader Class Overload. Probably two of my favorite Constructicons. And just quick, here is my Studio Series Leader Class Scavenger and Studio Series Deluxe Scrap Metal. Scrap Metal is probably my least favorite of the Studio Series Constructicons. We do have the Devil Savior figures. Well, the Devil Savior Constructicons are made from a third party. I'm talking about official Hasbro and Takara Tomy products and shit. Yeah. Scavenger and Overload are probably my favorite Constructicons because they're later class figures. Mixmaster, up until I got Scavenger and Overload, was my favorite Constructicon even after I got Scrap Metal. And, well, that's because Scrap Metal, he's not really the best Constructicon per se. And that could be due to his design, alternate mode, his 24-step transformation. Now, him transforming in 24 steps isn't bad. Granted, it's probably just his. And those transformers look like a shit. And those transformations like a shit show. We're talking about the transformations of the. Wait a minute. Are you talking about the transformations of the Devil Savior figures on Devastator? Because the transformations on the Studio Series Constructicons are not a shit show, by the way. I actually like the transformations on the Constructicons I have. Now, I only have 4 out of the 8 Constructicons for Devastator. I just need Scrapper, Long Haul, Hightower, and Skipjack. I only say Skipjack because He's the one who forms Devastator's left leg. The only reason I excluded Rampage is because he wasn't really part of Devastator, but he is a stand-in for Skipjack since Rampage and Skipjack share the same model, the same body type, that is. Now, one thing about the Devil Savior figures, some of the Devil Savior figures, believe it or not, appear to be heavy, heavy upscales, heavy KO third-party upscales of the. I will say this: Revenge of the Fallen kind of did justice for Devastator. Agree to disagree. I mean, G1's Devastator is still great. Movie vs. Devastator, not so much. We did get some. Now, granted, we did get some unique-looking Constructicons, such as Scrap Metal from Revenge of the Fallen. We did get this sort of unicycle look for Scavenger. So there's that. I mean, granted, none of the Revenge of the Fallen Constructicons are going to look like the G1 themselves, which is probably a good thing, because it's best to keep the live-action movie separate from G1. I mean, they didn't make him into a Voltron robot. I mean, like I said, agree to disagree. But I mean, to be honest, Revenge of the Fallen Devastator was just a monstrosity. The individual constructs, Devastator, from what I've seen, I mean, the Studio Series Devastator appears to be a great figure, so there's that. But I like the Constructicons as individuals anyways. I mean, Devastator only outshines the Constructicons because he's their combined form. I mean, granted, some of the Constructicons are unique in their own ways because, well, some of them have unique incarnations. Like, for example, Scavenger, he was an Autobot in Transformers Armada, so there's that. Scrapper and Mixmaster, they were the only Constructicons in Transformers Animated. Bone Crusher, he wasn't a Constructicon in the first live-action Transformers movie. Now, Mixmaster and Scrapper have not really seen much spotlight as, say, Scavenger or Bone Crusher. And poor Long Haul. In fact, on the CBR website, they said the design was actually an improvement. What? What? Hold on. Honestly, you're joking. You are joking. Now, granted, we've all seen the Revenge of the Fallen Devastator. If you have not seen the Revenge of the Fallen Devastator, look at that, and then look at G1 Devastator. Here's the thing with Revenge of the Fallen Devastator. Michael Bay put on a male appendage because it's Michael Bay. Michael Bay did one of the many things he was known for. Ruin the live-action Transformers characters. I mean, granted, they're the live-action versions of G1 characters, as well as other characters from Transformers media prior. So there's that. I mean, granted, now some of the movie-verse Constructicons are some of my favorite designs, like Scavenger and Mixmaster, especially considering what parts their vehicle mode becomes either their limbs or weapons, stuff like that. Now, Mixmaster, G1 Mixmaster basically had the whole cement drum on his back. The movie vs. Mixmaster actually used the drum as shields for his arms, so that's a clever use, to be honest. Now, Scavenger, for example, his excavator shovel splits into his arms, and the treads become wheels. Now, granted, G1 Scavenger shovel just hung off his back, and the treads just became his legs. I mean, something like that is similar with ROTF Scavenger, but not much because his treads form into giant wheels. Can't wait for the King. Mm-mm. Can't wait. Yes, yes. I do not have the original Generations Thrilling 30 Waspinator figure, and that was a good figure for its time. But I cannot wait until Kingdom. I cannot wait until Kingdom finally gives us a wholly new, cartoon accurate robot mode and real life Wasp alt mode for Kingdom Waspinator. I cannot wait to see what Hasbro's card do for Kingdom Waspinator. Speaking of Waspinator, how many Nick? Do you know anyone who can do a good Waspinator impression? Hey, how come Hatchet's one figure is a jet and the other Hatchet figures are a car? I did not know there are other figures of Hatchet from Dark of the Moon. The only figure of Hatchet I've seen is the Cyberverse / Legion class Hatchet that turns into a jet. I mean, granted, all of the Decepticon jets from Dark of the Moon had a unified alternate mode of a Chevy Suburban. So yeah, I mean, to answer your question, Nick, I do not know why Hatchet's one figure is a jet. And as a follow up, answer me this: are there any other Hatchet figures out there? Because the original Dark of the Moon one is the only one I've seen. I mean, now granted, we do have Studio Series Crowbar, who was redecoed into Crankcase for some reason instead of. I feel like what they should have done instead of redeco Crowbar was use the Berserker from Transformers The Last Night figure. They could have used the Berserker figure from Transformers Last Night and used that as the basis for Studio Series Crankcase instead of redecoing Crowbar into Crankcase. I mean, we might get a proper Crankcase figure as well as a Studio Series Hatchet, so it's that there's no word or rumor or leak of the Studio Series Hatchet. Now, as for your Waspinator comment, let me tell you guys this. Nick and I are Beast Wars fans. If you have not seen Beast Wars, find a website that has the Beast Wars cartoon. Watch Beast Wars, and perhaps you might like it. I mean, granted, every single character in Beast Wars is a standout. One of the breakout characters from Beast Wars, as Nick already mentioned, is Waspinator. Now, Waspinator is actually one of my favorite Beast Wars Predacons to come from that continuity, by the way. I love his voice, which is provided by Scott McNeil. His alt mode of, well, a wasp. Now, fun fact. Waspinator was planned to be killed off at some point in the first season. Poor Waspinator. I'm going to do this in my best Waspinator impression, by the way. Poor Waspinator. He just minding his own business when, bang, gets whole stasis pod right up the kazoo. See now, we can all do a good Waspinator impression. I like to think I'm among one of those people who does a good Waspinator impression, especially because Waspinator is so quotable. Because for those of you who does not know, Waspinators. Now, granted, I can't do the best impression, but I can do a sort of good to decent impression of Beast Wars Waspinator. Now, fun fact. Waspinator was planned to be killed off because the writers did not like his sort of buzzing noise, his sort of tick, so to speak. But here's the thing with Waspinator. Transformers fans actually loved Waspinator when he appeared in Beast Wars. Because of Waspinator's popularity, because fans loved him, the writers allowed Waspinator to make it alive after the first season. He survived the second season, he survived the third season. Hell, Waspinator made it into the Beast Wars sequel series Beast Machines. But not in the way you think. Waspinator became one of the Viacon generals, the Viacon general being Thrust. When Thrust eventually died at the end of Beast Machines, Waspinator's personality and spark emerged, and he was never seen again. So there's that. Can you do a good impression of Waspinator, Nick? I mean, I believe you. I believe you can do a good impression of Waspinator. And that is because Waspinator is so quotable. One unfortunate thing for Waspinator is that Waspinator has a tendency to get reduced to scrap iron. Waspinator has been through so much hell in Beast Wars. Waspinator was unfortunately reduced to comic relief. He's been shot at, stabbed, he's been through explosions, he's been taken apart piece by piece. Waspinator never has a good day. And look, go watch. If you are watching this and you have not seen Beast Wars yet, go watch Beast Wars and come back. Because Beast Wars is definitely one of the best Transformers shows I recommend watching. It's one of the best shows to date, even if it was created. Now, granted, Beast Wars was created in the 90s, so there are limitations, shit like that. But ignore those limitations, and if you got a good story, good characters, compelling characters at that, you're good. I mean, you guys have no idea how much I effing love Beast Wars. Waspinator is getting sick of getting lumped to scrap all the time. So, Waspinator quit. As of now, which means Antbot and Two Head can just pucker their mandibles and plant big old juicy one right here. Almost, I cannot stop myself from laughing when doing this quote. I'm playing big old juicy one right here on Waspinator's big, fat, stripy. Boom. Waspinator. And it's because of that, fun fact, because of Waspinator's popularity, he actually went into the Transformers Hall of Fame. Believe it or not, Waspinator went into the Transformers Hall of Fame with some of the big name G1 Transformers characters. And Waspinator's not the only one. Dinobot, another Beast Wars character, went into the Hall of Fame. Dinobot. And Beast Wars Megatron. Dinobot and Beast Wars Megatron, they made it into the Hall of Fame as well. And it's because of the popularity of some of these characters. Speaking of Beast Wars Megatron, yes. How many of you can do a good impression of Beast Wars Megatron? Because you know, one of Megatron's signature, one of the things that has become a signature and staple for Megatron and Beast Wars is this. It is one word. Yes. I remember when Waspinator got kicked in the. Okay, I remember that too. That was in the season 1 finale. Waspinator got kicked in the nuts. Waspinator got kicked in the crotch, out of all places, by guess who? The Maximo Rat Trap. Out of all characters that Waspinator fought in that one episode, it was Rat Trap. When Rat Trap fought Waspinator in the season 1 finale, He kicked him out of all places in his crotch. His crotch. Oh my god. I still have that image of that episode in my head. That I and let me tell you, I replayed that scene a couple of times because it was that funny. Of course he's a rat, so he's gonna fight Dirty like one. Speaking of Rat Trap, I want to get the Kingdom Rat Trap. I want to get the King. There are a lot of figures I want to get from Kingdom. Actually, you know what? You know what? I did make a list of top 15 Transformers figures I want to get from the Kingdom line in the War for Cybertron trilogy, and Core Class Rat Trap is one of them. I mean, I want to get the Beast Wars figures first before I get into some of the other G1 figures, because now I like G1, I like Beast Wars. I mean, for those who, because some of you who are watching this might not know, Beast Wars and Generation 1 are in the same universe / timeline. But the Autobot and Decepticon descendants, the Maximals and Predacons, traveled back in time to prehistoric Earth via transwarp technology. I wonder what the next MP Beast Wars figure is going to be. Who knows? Because Tigertron was most recent, so because Tigertron was most recent, I was thinking perhaps we could get an MP Air Razor. We could get Air Razor. I mean, she would be easy to do. I mean, we could also get Pterosaur, Tarantulas. I mean, we already have some of the Predacons, such as Megatron and Black Arachnia. But, I mean, who knows? And speaking of Beast Wars, we are rumored to get maybe Depth Charge and Waspinator. Well, I wouldn't. Speaking of Depth Charge, Rampage. Because Nick here mentioned Depth Charge, let's mention Depth Charge's rival, Rampage, aka Protoform X. Now, of course, Protoform X was his original name. Rampage was just the name given to him by Megatron, which essentially created the Beast Wars incarnation of Rampage. And granted, Beast Wars Rampage is taking his name from the original G1 Predacon, Rampage. But yeah, I mean, I've seen the leaked images of live-action Beast Wars Cheetor. It looks If anything, that live-action Beast Wars Cheetor is more Bayformer in its design, and not G1 Beast Wars-esque. I mean, to be fair, it's kind of tricky considering they're organic forms. It is tricky considering the Beast Wars characters turn into actual organic beasts and animals and other beasts. Hmm. And if we're gonna be honest, some of the transformations make you scratch their head. I'm going for almost 2 hours now. I mean, okay, so I might call it. I might call it for a night within the next few minutes. See if I can go for about 2 hours. So I might eventually wrap it up. But I mean, keep talking. I mean, anyone in the chat, if you want to keep talking, if anyone is still here. Like Dinobot's transformation. Dinobot's transformation, yeah. Dinobot's the transformation of Dinobot in Beast Wars is kind of tricky, to be honest, because you have to wonder where does everything go? Because his tail, when Dinobot transforms, his tail in Raptor mode just hides. His Beast mode head just goes into his chest and somehow splits to create his whole torso. His hand, his arms and hands are made from his Beast mode legs. So there's that, and his beast mode hands and arms just hide. Yeah, Dinobot is a tricky character to properly get. I'm not gonna be too hard on the show. It was not. I mean, yeah, it was the '90s. It was. I mean, it was the '90s. I mean, some Beast Wars characters do appear to have simplistic transformations, and others not so much. Dinobot is an infamous example. Excuse me. And if we're gonna be honest, computers weren't the best. They were good, but not for perfect. Well, it was the '90s, so I mean, what you gonna do? I mean, if I'm gonna be honest, I do kind of wish some G1 characters who transformed into beasts were in Beast Wars, because some G1 characters who weren't beasts got got upgraded into Beast Wars characters, such as I actually wouldn't mind a remaster of the show. I actually wouldn't either. Actually, you wanna know what would be interesting? Is if we told the Beast Wars show from the perspective of characters who weren't in the show, such as now we could also tell the perspective of G1 characters that became Beast Wars characters, such as Prowl, Silverbolt, Ironhide, and now granted, G1 Silverbolt and Beast Wars Silverbolt are two separate characters, but G1 Silverbolt, the aerial bot leader, would become a Maximal, essentially making two Beast Wars incarnations of Silverbolt. Now, we also have two Beast Wars Prowls, because there's the G1 Prowl who became Beast Wars Maximal, and then there's the other Beast Wars Prowl who is now known as Prowl 2. And he transforms into an owl and is transmetal. And if the Beast Wars live action movie does good, maybe tall would be the case. I mean, actually, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if Bumblebee 2 crosses over with Beast Wars. Jeez. You know what, Nick? Nick, let me tell you this. There is a rumor going on that the Bumblebee sequel might tie into the Beast Wars. Stupid autocorrect. Now, there is a working title for the upcoming Transformers movie called Beast Alliance. Now, Beast Alliance might just be the official title, or just the rumor title. As at the moment, it's just the current title of the upcoming 2022 live-action movie. Now, Beast Alliance is apparently rumored to be a sort of heist film. Now, granted, Beast Alliance might just be a cross with G1 and Beast Wars. Now, granted, 2021 right now is currently the 25th anniversary of Beast Wars and the 35th anniversary of the G1 1986 movie, which is probably why we're getting Kingdom right now. The good thing about Kingdom is that it brings in not just G1 characters, but also Beast Wars characters, because 2021 is the 25th and 35th anniversary of the two things I mentioned. So, yeah, you are aware of the title. I mean, I figured you were aware of the title. I hope David K voices Beast Wars Megatron in the movie. If David K, the original voice of Beast Wars Beast Machines Megatron, reprises his original role, we're all gonna be like, yes, with a smile on our face, because anyone, look, David K is what made Beast Wars Megatron. Beast Wars Megatron. No other voice actor can deliver Beast Wars Megatron, even if they tried, as much as David K. I mean, granted, there are some people who do impressions of Beast Wars Megatron, but no one cannot beat David K. David K will always be Beast Wars Megatron, even if they replace him. Just like how Gary Chalk will always be Optimus Primal. Well, seeing as I've been going for almost 2 hours, I think the design I hated from Beast Wars Ravage. Did you hate the design of Beast Wars Ravage? If so, why? Why did you hate the design of Beast Wars Ravage? I mean, granted, Ravage, G1 Ravage becoming a Predacon in Beast Wars. I mean, that's not bad. Excuse. Well, I mean, I guess. Well, it's 2 hours. I'm gonna call it night. I hope you all enjoyed. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one.